Okay, good morning. Welcome to
Mathforkids number 141.
Mathforkids number 141. Today we're going to talk about how to find the area of a triangle. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so the basic building block for area is a square. Okay? So we're going to define an area of a square with side length 1. Let's say it's 1 foot, just for fun. We're going to say the area is 1 foot squared, which some people say is 1 square foot. Either way is fine. Okay?
Yep.
So does that make sense? This is just a basic building block definition. Now what if it was inches instead?
It'll be 1 square inch.
Which we would write as inches squared. What if it was 1 meter?
That'd be one meter squared.
1 meter squared. What if it was 1 light year?
1 light year squared.
1 light year squared. Okay, so this is just a basic building block for area. Now, when we have a more complicated area, like a rectangle, I guess that's a pretty good rectangle. And let's say it's 4 wide and 2 high. Just from our basic building block, how do I figure out the area of this rectangle? What do I do? Because the only thing I know right now is how to find the area of a square that has side length 1.
But there's 4. You multiply 4 times 2.
Well, I know that's what the answer is, but how do you get there?
Well, there's 4 squares and 2 squares that way.
Okay, so I divide it up into squares that all have side length 1. And how did I know there were 4 this way? How did I know there were 4 this way and 2 this way?
Because it says.
Okay, that's what it means to be 4 long. If this is 4 feet long, it means I can chop it up into 4 bits that are 1 foot long. And if this is 2 feet long up high, then I can go 1, 2. Now, how many squares did it take to fill up that area?
It took 8 squares.
8 squares. There were 2 rows of 4, so we say that the area, do you still have your black marker? Thanks. Area equals 4 times 2, which is 8. Okay. Well, that's nice. So if we can chop up rectangles into squares that have side length 1, we can find the area of those rectangles just from our basic building block, right? That's nice.
Yeah.
But now what happens if we have a more complicated picture like a triangle? Oh, sorry, can I have the black back? Here, hold the orange for a second. I have a triangle like that. Okay, and now let's say this was, I don't know, 6 long and 3 high. Okay, now we know how to find the area of the rectangle. In this case, the area of this rectangle would be what?
Would be 18.
How did you figure that out?
6 times 3.
6 times 3. Okay, good job. But now our task is try to figure out the area of this triangle. So we have to use our noggin a little bit. Noggin. What does our noggin tell us?
Well, this triangle is half of the rectangle.
Why is it half of the rectangle? What do you notice that says, oh, this triangle is exactly half of that rectangle?
Because it starts up at one corner and goes down to the other.
Okay. What else can you notice that would help you see that this triangle and this triangle are the same?
They're both right triangles.
They're both right triangles, that's true. What else helps you see that this triangle and this triangle are the same? It's tricky. What do you notice? What can you tell me about this triangle down here at the bottom?
It's a right triangle.
It's a right triangle? That's one thing you can tell me about it. What else can you tell me about it?
It height is 3 and the length is 6.
Okay, the length is 6 and the height is 3. What can you tell me about this triangle?
It's 3 and 6 also.
Okay, so this triangle is 3 high. This one over here, the one that's on top, is 3 high and 6 long. So it certainly seems possible that this rectangle, the whole rectangle, is made up of 2 right triangles whose the height is 3 and the length is 6. So that's why this right triangle is exactly half the area of that rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is 18. What's the area of this triangle?
It's 6 times 3 over 2.
Which is?
Which is 9.
9. Okay, awesome. And finally, what if I made a much more complicated triangle that was not a right triangle at all, but actually lived inside of the box here? So this is not a right triangle. This is just some other triangle that lives inside of this box. Now, we know how to do 3 things right now. We know how to do the area of a square, the area of a rectangle,
and the area of a right triangle,
and the area of a right triangle. Okay, so can we figure out how to compute the area of this orange triangle here using our 3 rules that we know? Area of a square, area of a rectangle, and the area of a right triangle.
We can do.
Here, hold on. What can we do? I just want to make sure we're all on screen here. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. What can we do?
We can start at the highest point and go down to chop it into 2 right triangles.
Okay. If I start at the highest point and go down, now I have a right triangle here, where my hand is. Okay, where else do I have a right triangle?
Over here.
Where your hand is. All right, very good. What can I do now?
Well, we know how to figure out the area of a right triangle.
Okay. I could call this length here x, and if this used to be L across this way, and it used to be H high, well, yeah, that's fine. H. I don't know where I'm making up these letters from. It's probably not the best choice, but that's okay. If it used to be L across, and this part is X, what is this part over here? How long is that?
It's L minus X.
L minus X. Great. How did you figure that out?
Because you chopped it up, and it was L long before.
It was L long before, and this part plus this part has to equal L, right? So L minus X plus X equals L. Okay? So our area of this right triangle is, can we switch positions? Here, jump off your chair. The area of right triangle number 1 is what? What is our formula for area of right triangle number 1?
It's the base.
It's 1/2
times base
times height. Okay, so what's the length of the base of this right triangle?
X.
And what's the height?
The height is H.
H. How do I know this height is the same as this height over here?
Because you dropped it down from the high point, which is the same.
Right, it's a rectangle, so the high point is always the same. 1/2 X times H. And what is the area of triangle 2? Sorry, I haven't drawn 2. What is the area of triangle 2?
It's L minus X. Well, it's the base.
What's our formula for the area of a triangle?
Base times, it's 1/2 times base times height.
1/2 base times height. So I got 1/2 times
L minus X.
L minus X
times H.
Times H. Okay? So the area of our orange triangle is what? How are we going to compute the area of our orange triangle?
Well, can factor out a 1/2 of both.
Well, what are we going to do to compute the area of the orange triangle?
We're going to have to figure out what the area of the little triangles are.
Okay, and then what?
And then combine the areas.
Add them together, right? So the area of the orange triangle the orange area equals this area, 1/2 xh plus 1/2 L minus x times h. Okay? And this is 1/2 xh plus 1/2 times LH, multiplying L times h. And now I have minus 1/2 xh. And what do you notice happens here?
Well, there's a plus 1/2 times h and a minus 1/2 times h. So it's...
No, there's no plus 1/2 times h. What is this term?
It's 1/2 times h.
Try one more time.
And it's 1/2 x.
1/2 x.
Time 1/2 x h.
1/2 xh, very good. And what is this term?
That's minus 1/2 x h.
Minus 1/2 xh. So what are those two terms? What happens?
They
cancel because those are equal to each other, and I'm just left with 1/2 LH. Okay, now this is kind of a surprising fact, because what is L in my orange triangle?
L is the length.
L is the length of the base, and H is the height. So at least for this triangle, we found, and this is not a right triangle, we found that the area of the triangle is computed as 1/2 the length of the base times the height, which is exactly the same formula that we had for a right triangle. It was just for a right triangle, the length and the height were easy to see. So for this triangle, it's not so easy to figure out what the height is, but we still have the same formula, 1/2 base times height. It's going to turn out that that formula is always true for any triangle. But so far we've only shown it for this one particular triangle. Isn't that pretty neat though?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the formula for the area of a triangle?
It's 1/2 base times height.
1/2 base times height. Good job. Good job, sweetie.